Beauty, the Buffoon, and the Beast, or Sweet are the Uses of Adversity, Part 1. Beverly Barker was the most beautiful girl in the world. We had been in the last 2 months of the 6th grade together, and I had noticed this about her, but felt she was so far above me in both status and sophistication that the best I could do consisted of an aesthetic admiration drifting toward daydreaming and an occasional eye contact, always initiated non-committally by her. I guess I had the advantage of being the new boy, but I never in all my many moves knew how to use this to my advantage. I had lived in 5 different towns by then and gone for short periods of time to 9 different schools, but actually it added to my shyness. I could recite statistics and facts and talk about New Orleans and Birmingham and the farmers down in Bogstown, but I had few opportunities to ever know about girls and how to engage them. No 13-year-old boy knows much about this, but I knew nothing. I just knew I had a growing desire to do so. She lived 4 blocks over, and our paths only crossed in Mrs. Murdoch's classroom. A dream girl, an aspiration with, as dreams go, a consummation devoutly to be wished. I had gone through the entire summer seeing her only twice, once at the movie house on Friday night, and then she was sitting with Bill Berry. He had blonde, wavy hair and a Schwinn bicycle with knee-action suspension. Sometimes life can be so unfair. The other time was at the public swimming pool at Garfield Park. She was wearing a white bathing suit and had a glowing golden look. This was long before bikinis, but I was profoundly impressed, and not just with the tan. During the summer, I had learned an amazing and daring athletic feat. I could stand up on my bicycle seat with my right foot, leaning the bike a little to the right to offset the equilibrium, balancing with my left, holding onto the handlebars, looking ahead to keep the whole thing going. I could go 10 yards or more. The neighborhood boys were envious, and I was, for a brief few weeks, a kind of local hero. As far as I know, Beverly was completely unaware of this achievement. We had gone back to school after Labor Day, and now Miss Lloyd's 7th grade class was seated alphabetically. She was a B, I was a T, a continent apart. She lived on Finley Street, and of course it was time to put away my excruciating shyness and take the bold action of demonstrating to her my newly acquired talent. This sort of ritual, of course, has been played out millions of times in countless ways throughout history, sometimes with great success, but not always. There are moments when a man simply must do this. The houses on one side of Finley Street were built up on a little grassy elevation about 4 feet. They were bungalows of the craftsman style, and all pretty much looked alike, all with front porches, and Beverly's had a swing. As I turned into the street, I could see someone sitting on it. It was Beverly. There was also some guy mowing the lawn, her big brother. I rode by in a haughty, I don't even know you're there, eyes forward manner, got down the alley and slid to a stop. The time for spectacular, irresistible greatness was now upon me. Let us pray. I took a long last breath and started back down the street, rode up on the sidewalk, steadied the pace, slowly rose to the seat of my bike, one foot on it, the other trailing the bike, leaning perfectly, hands steady on the bar. I came to the house and directly in front of the walk, I looked at her and smiled. There is a rule we all know, but in my passion momentarily forgot. It is this: keep your eye on the road. I didn't. My smile immediately turned to head over heels disaster. I did a complete cartwheel over the handlebar, landing absolutely flat on my back. It knocked me cuckoo for just a second, and I came to my senses with a combination of a badly skinned arm and Beverly's brother bent over me with giddy laughter and whooping wild hilarity. I had gone in one excruciating moment from a seventh grade Don Juan to the Three Stooges, all rolled into one absurd Hoosier buffoon. Pain and embarrassment combined in me to wish that I could just cease to be. I would have cried, but not in front of Beverly. She came running down off the porch onto the sidewalk, sat down on the curb, and literally placed my head, which was draped down onto the street, in her lap. "Are you hurt bad?" she asked. "I think I'm okay," trying to act tough. "Next time you'll do it," she said. "Yeah." Her brother, still laughing, choked out, "That's the stupidest thing I ever saw." But Beverly said, "It was not. It was brave." It happened this quick. I sat up next to her, took a deep breath, and popped the question. "Want to go to the show tomorrow night?" Without the slightest hesitation, she answered, "Sure. You want to pick me up or meet me there?" "I'll come and get you. 7 okay?" "Sure," she said again. I got up and brushed the dirt off my wound and clothes. She got up too and looked at me, kind of dreamy-eyed. "See you tomorrow," and ran back to the porch, and then, looking back at me, on into the house. Her brother, who overheard what had transpired, stopped mowing and said, "She's at least as dumb as you are." The pain of my skinned arm, the indignity, the lopsided wheel of the bike, the uncertainties of the world didn't matter now. She said yes. I got back before Mom and Dad and began making up a story about how the chain on my bicycle came off, causing me to fall. A harmless enough lie, I thought, but I sure was sore. Mom put some Vaseline on my wound. It was her medicinal answer to nearly everything. The next day was Friday, and at school, at least 3 different girls came right up to me inquiring about my arm. I was wearing a long-sleeved shirt. How did they know? I was emboldened enough now to seek out eye contact with Beverly. Perhaps I was staring at a little too boldly, but she seemed to avoid every opportunity. Finally, as school let out, I was walking down the front steps, and she looked at me from the sidewalk and mouthed, "See you tonight." It would have been thrilling, except the girls with her giggled and smirked. Boy, was I being set up? Was she being cruel? Was I being led on? Was she as in love as I was? Our beliefs are, I suppose, largely based on our needs. I chose to believe the latter. I walked briskly home. We began the countdown to 7. I raced upstairs in the longest 3 hours, 10 minutes, and 30 seconds of my life to that point in my life at least, began. I have, over the years, been derisively called a clock watcher. It began here. I stayed in my room until my parents got home. They called up the stairs to tell me they were going out to dinner. Now for another lie. I'm going over to Billy's to eat before we go to the show. Billy Golder was my friend who lived down the street, and it wasn't unusual for us to have supper at each other's houses. We're going to the Italian Village, Dad yelled up the stairs. Normally, the thought of McCree family lasagna would have trumped my other eating plans, but I was on a mission of passion and lust. Billy's mom is expecting us. Well, okay, but you come right home after the show. Come down and get your $1, my weekly allowance. I bounded down the stairs and around the corner to the kitchen. Mom made me take off my shirt to look at my arm. She thought it looked like it was healing. And as she gave me the $1, my allowance.